On the 17th of February 1984, the body of a young woman was discovered in an abandoned mortuary in Phoenix, Arizona. An anonymous caller contacted the police after seeing smoke and people inside the building. When officers arrived and entered the building, there was no smoke or people. However, they found a trail of blood from the front to the rear of the building, leading to a woman's lifeless, disrobed body. She was laying face up on top of a sleeping bag. Her head was bashed in, and a telephone cord was wrapped around her neck. She had been violated and had been there for days. The body was identified as 22-year-old Aimee See. Authorities collected evidence, including DNA from the crime scene. Although a profile of the suspect's DNA was developed, there were no matches and the case went cold for decades. In 2012, investigators reopened the case and requested further forensic processing, but for 8 years, they couldn't find any solid leads. Then in 2020, they revisited people for follow-up interviews, and in October 2020, police developed a new lead, and 67-year-old David Kazia was identified as a suspect. On the 15th of October 2020, detectives interviewed David, who lived within a mile of the mortuary. David knew the building and said he would often climb through its windows and up its stairwells. He also attended the same YMCA and St. Vincent de Paul Society groups that Aimee belonged to. Further DNA tests were conducted, and on the 5th of November 2020, police determined that David's DNA matched the DNA taken from the crime scene. The following day, he was arrested near 12th Avenue and Madison Street in Phoenix. He faces charges for violating Aimee and taking her life. He's currently being held on a $1 million bond. Despite the breakthrough, police have been quiet about exactly how they identified David as a suspect, other than to say they relied on new forensic technology. They provided no further details since their charges are in an early stage of development. David has denied any wrongdoing and could not explain how his DNA was found at the scene.